have I organize a number of workshops at schools and colleges and Grama Sachivalayam police, women police employees also on behalf of police department. So this is my information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get the name, gentleman.
Venkat Ramanaya.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
I am PM Nair. I am based in Chennai now. And very delighted to meet all of you over this system.
Okay.
Thank you for organizing this, Isolate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for tuning in. Can I request Grace, Lakshman, Praneeth, Srinivas to introduce yourselves? Yeah.
Madam.
Can you just introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. I am Srinivas Rao from Nellore. I'm representing CJWS. I'm working on the child rights and human rights. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Yeah, turn on your video so that we get to see you. Okay, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Grace from Visakhapatnam. I'm working with tribal children and I have 2 daycare centers.
Praneeth? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Praneeth from Kavali. I'm the representative of Saviors Organization as well as I'm BTech student. Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, we heard you. Thank you, Praneeth. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Lakshman? Okay, I think there's something issue. Yeah, hi.
Yes, madam. Good afternoon to all. This is Lakshman, Vardi Social Service Society, Vijayanagar, madam. Thank you.
Thank you. We have few others to join. Should we wait or should we?
How many more we are expecting?
Around 5 people.
I have to introduce you again. Mr. Samson Daniel is there.
Yeah.
I'm Samson from IJM.
Yeah, it's Gladys from IJM.
Rennie Jacob from IJM.
Alice Suganya from IJM.
Tina?
Where is Mr. Samson located? Where are you?
Chennai, sir. Chennai.
Hi, this is Tina. I'm working with Red Rope. I'm from Lucknow.
So Red Rope works in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and UP.
Yeah, we're just trying to explore in North India, sir. So yeah. So
Good.
Tina joined with us recently.
Yeah, excellent. Welcome, ma'am. Tina, ma'am.
Thank you, Nigel.
I am recording this session. So I think, should we go ahead and start?
I think so.
Yeah, it's already 7 minutes, so you can start probably introduce.
Yeah, sure. So once again, welcome to everybody for joining in to this orientation. Now I will have Gladys from IGM to introduce and share with us what is HTC and a little brief about it and what is happening currently in Andhra.
Yeah. Did you need to introduce Dr. Nair now?
No,
I thought I'll introduce him once Gladys is done.
I have introduced myself. Done. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, before I go into AHTC, I just thought I'll briefly talk about IJM for those who have joined us for the first time today. So, greetings from International Justice Mission. Thank you all so much for taking time to be here this afternoon. International Justice Mission is a global organization. We have offices across countries in the world dealing with various casework types. Can everyone mute their? Can you all please
mute it?
Mute. Yeah.
You can usually can mute everybody. Organizers.
Okay. Fine. I'll start from the beginning. So International Justice Mission is a global organization. We have offices across countries in the world dealing with various casework types relevant to those parts of the world. IGM has been working in India over 20 years, and we are present in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Bengaluru, Chennai, Bhubaneswar, and Patna. Additionally, we work in 10 states across the country through our partner organizations. So the Chennai, Bangalore, and Delhi offices work on the issue of human trafficking and bonded labor, including child labor. Mumbai and Kolkata offices work on the issue of sex trafficking and minors. IGM has been working in Andhra Pradesh by partnering with the district administration since 2003. Through our partnership, over 600 people have been rescued from the clutches of bonded labor and have been successfully rehabilitated. IGM is also now formally partnering with government agencies, state commissions, police, and judicial training academy, with educational institutions and research agencies to train government officials from various departments, police officers, and prosecutors. IGM, in collaboration with the government, have rescued about 20,000 victims from labor trafficking over 20 years in India. And they are now formed into a released bonded labor association. And in AP, it is known as Jeevana Jwala, who are now identifying cases and taking cases to the government themselves and assisting the government in rescue and rehabilitation. Okay, now we'll move on to Anti-Human Trafficking Club. Yeah, but what is human trafficking? Samson, can go to the next slide. Yeah. So human trafficking is simply means illegal trade of human beings for sex, labor, or organs, and is one of the worst and cruel form of human violations happening all around the world. Next slide. Yeah, Section 370 of Indian Penal Code deals with trafficking. Whoever commits the offense of trafficking shall be punished with rigorous imprisonment. Well, I'm not going into the details as we will have our expert speaker, Dr. P.M. Nair, to educate us on this. We'll go on to the next slide. Well, Anti-Human Trafficking Club is an innovative idea conceived and initiated by Dr. P. Nair, IPS retired, with a mission to encourage and involve the vibrant students in colleges in India to prevent and spread awareness about human trafficking. AHTCs are launched in several premier educational institutions in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, and several other states in India. Dr. P.M. Nair said at one of the AHTC launches, human traffickers make no discrimination. One need not be from a lower socioeconomic class to be trafficked. Men and boys are trafficked too. AHTC is similar to any other club in colleges. In the AHTC club, students of colleges and schools share their passion for the protection of human rights by their own involvement. Dr. P.M. Nayar's idea of AHTC clubs is for students from the clubs to be taught about 4 important parameters, which are to recognize the issue, to report it, rescue, and campaign. Once students are taught about trafficking, they will be able to identify real and potential cases in their neighborhoods. They could be of support to the law enforcement agencies and act as whistleblowers against exploitation. So the ultimate goal is to make students campaigners against human trafficking. It's the vision of AHTC. The vision is to establish safe communities by eliminating human trafficking through empowerment of students and other youth. So the club focuses to encourage and empower the youth to establish safe communities. The next slide. So in AP, we had a pre-launch orientation in November in one of the premier colleges, that is Maris Stella College in Vijayawada, Krishna district. The orientation inspired and encouraged around 600 students to join the fight against human trafficking by signing up for the AHT club. The orientation was attended by students from other colleges too. The next slide. And then in December, we were able to launch the AHTC in Maris Stella College in collaboration with the DGP of Andhra Pradesh, Chairperson of Andhra Pradesh Mahila Commission, and Member Secretary, State Legal Services Authority of Andhra Pradesh, and Dr. P.M. Nayar, IPS retired, author of AHTC. International Justice Mission is honored to have launched the first ever AP Anti-Human Trafficking Club in Maris Stella College on 10th December 2019, which was also well attended by the students from the social work department and other departments in the college, and also from other colleges, and also various units functioning in the college like NCC, NSS. The launch was inaugurated by Srimati Vasi Reddy Padma, Chairperson AP Mahila Commission, and the AHTC Standard Operating Procedure Book and the logo was released by Srimati Vasi Reddy Padma and Dr. M.D. Imtiaz, IAS, District Collector, Krishna District. Dr. Sister Jacinta Quadras, Principal, gave the welcome speech. And Drakshani, an executive member of the AP Released Bonded Labor Association, Jeevan Ajwala, shared her story. Next slide. And then the forewords. The forewords in the AP AHTC's Standard Operating Procedure Book were written by Sri Dr. Gautam Sawang, IPS Director General of Police, Andhra Pradesh, Srimati Vasi Reddy Padma, Chairperson, AP Mahila Commission, and Sri B.R.K. Krupa Sagar, Member Secretary, AP State Legal Service Authority. Yeah. Next one. We have the media articles here about the launch. Then we'll go on to the activities of the AHT Club. Next slide. Yeah. The AHT clubs meet regularly under the supervision of 3 mentors, 1 professor or teacher of the concerned college, 1 responsible police officer from the respective area, and 1 representative from a competent NGO active in the area. The activities of the club are awareness activities such as cultural programs and street plays, rescue and intervention, working with the government agencies, research papers to influence policymakers, reporting via social media platforms, and mentoring organizations. I will now share some of the activities by Maris Stella College AHT Club since the launch in December 2019. On 8th February, Maris Stella College organized a program in commemoration of the International Day of Awareness Against Human Trafficking. The student members of the AHTC organized a lecture on the role of youth in reaching out to the community and contributing to prevention of trafficking related issues, and it was presented by Ms. Chrysolite of Red Rope. On 14th February 2020, students from Maris Stella AHTC and students from other esteemed universities from the Department of Social Work attended the conference on legal awareness program at Christ University through the invitation from AP Mahila Commission and International Justice Mission. In commemoration of the International Women's Day, an awareness on women safety called Power Walk was organized by AP Mahila Commission in collaboration with IJM and Maristella College AHT Club. Next slide. There are universities and colleges that we reached with the idea of having an AHTC club in their respective universities and colleges. So to name a few, formal partnerships have been proposed so far with prominent universities in AP, like Acharya Nagarjuna University in Guntur district, Nannaya University in East Godavari district, Simhapuri University in Nellore district, Andhra University in Visakhapatnam district, and SV University in Chittoor district. We could not progress much due to the lockdown, and we are hoping that after the lockdown, we will be able to launch AHT clubs in all these universities. We are very, next one. We are also very happy to inform that the 20th of February 2020 marked a very significant milestone as Maristella College in Krishna district, Andhra Pradesh, a premier educational institution in the state, and IJM entered into a formal partnership. One of the main objectives of the MOU is to activate AHT clubs through the college's Department of Social Work and plan out a series of initiatives and activities that will involve the youth in the mission to prevent and spread awareness about human trafficking. The next slide. This AHTC has a Facebook page. So AHTC exists to support and showcase the commitments and achievements of all the AHTCs in India. Hence, there is a AHTC Facebook page, and you can see the link on the screen. So please like and share to build momentum behind each AHTC movement. Next one. Just a few photos from our activities in AP. Next slide. So let's spot the issue, speak it, and stop it. All of us need to join hands to end the evil of human trafficking. And I hope all of us gathered here will agree with me. Thank you. I request all of you to turn on your videos so that we can take a photo next time.
Priscilla, do you want to take the photo? Yeah, I'm doing that. Smile. Perfect. Cool. Thank you so much, Gladys, for that introduction and setting the pace for our discussion today. Now I have the privilege of introducing Dr. P.M. Nair. Dr. P.M. Nair is a Director of Research on Human Trafficking in India at Tata Institute of Social Sciences. He is former DIG of National Disaster Response Force, and he's also headed a lot of operations in UNODC and also in Central Bureau of Investigation. He's been a former nodal officer anti-human trafficking on anti-human trafficking research at National Human Rights Commission of India. He has 40 years of international expertise working against human trafficking, rule of law, and good governance. The establishment of AHTC in every state and establishment of AHTU, which is anti-human trafficking units, and AHTC, that is anti-human trafficking clubs, are his noble initiatives. He's also penned a lot of books, SOPs, and guidelines relating to human trafficking investigation. He has been extremely proactive in collaborating with stakeholders all across India and across the globe to eradicate this cause and to ensure that we work collaboratively He's also handled several crimes, including Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, international arms drop at Purulia. I'm sorry if I got the name wrong. At Sanjay Ghosh's abduction. Dr. Nair served the National Human Rights Commission as its nodal officer, anti-human trafficking, as project coordinator, anti-human trafficking with the UN. Dr. Nair carried out training of more than 11,000 police officials and prosecutors across India to set up nine anti-human trafficking units. He's also considered as the father of anti-human trafficking initiatives in India. Dr. Nair, it's a privilege, and we've been really excited to hear you and to hear your insights on anti-human trafficking initiatives, especially in Andhra. Over to you, sir.
You're muted, sir. So we're not able to hear you because you're muted.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Kosalite, for all those kind words. I don't think I deserve all these words. I'm just a person like you working on the cause. Now, before I start, I'd like to know what are the expectations. Can you tell me 1, 2, 3 points on which I should be able to speak or want me to speak? What is the point that you want me to address on?
Okay, so we have local partners, prospective partners from Andhra, and most of them work in different fields. So just for them to understand what is the concept of AHTC, what are their roles and objectives, what are the opportunities that all of us have together in eradicating this, and what are different possibilities that they can knock into and collaborations that they can do individually and collaboratively in their own district. Right. And also to take any of the questions that they have regarding this field.
So, in fact, I won't speak much. I'll speak only a short while, and then take questions. Because you may have a lot of questions to ask. Please do that. Then all of you are okay with English, or anybody wants me to chip in Hindi also in between? All okay.
English
is enough.
English enough.
Thank you. I'm grateful to my esteemed friend Ms. Kosalite for organizing this wonderful lady, dynamic lady, and very impressed with the way she is moving with the mission. God bless you, ma'am. And thankful to Madam Gladys for the introductory note, and thankful to all the distinguished colleagues in IJM, all of you. In fact, I will be failing in my duty if I don't thank each one personally. I'm grateful to the organization. In fact, IJM, I'm working with IJM for the last maybe 20 years, at least 15 years. I'm gladly recollect, if not more. And how many of you have read that book, Locus Effect? If you have not read that book, please read the book, Locus Effect. After reading the book, I fell in love with that man who wrote the book. I don't know who he was. I said, this guy must be something, a genius, super genius guy. I must meet him. After an opportunity comes, and the wish was so strong, and they land up in Washington for some work. Sent a message to IJM colleagues there. I said, I'm coming to your office anyway. I want to meet one gentleman. He said, your boss. We then met him, and he was speaking so much about me. I said, how do you know about me? He said, well, I don't have to see you. I know everything. And that's how the friendship came. IJM chief is Mr. Gary Hogan, wonderful person, and that's how the relationship developed. Now I think I probably have my friendship is with almost all the colleagues in IJM, and wherever I go, I find they are doing a commendable work. I would say it's super commendable work everywhere. They start keeping the legs slowly, but things are moving so well. God bless you. Anti-human trafficking. We all know what is human trafficking. We all know what is trafficking. As Madam introduced rightly, it is buying and selling human beings. We are not supposed to sell and buy human beings. We can buy a pen or sell a pen, buy a water bottle. Some material can be purchased. Commodity can be purchased. But human beings are not for sale. Unfortunately, they are being sold and purchased. In fact, I'm going to ask you a question a little later. what is the impact of COVID, this lockdown, and how it is going to affect the human trafficking. I want to hear from you. Well, now this is a universal problem. People call it slavery, whatever way you call it, is actually buying and selling human beings like cattle or like any other material. And it is happening everywhere. Some area will be a source area, some will be a destination area. Source to destination, there will be transit in between. Transit can be one or many. Trafficking routes are many, it can be national, it can be international. There are certain pull factors and push factors. We call it as vulnerability factor and demand factor. Vulnerability means it could be lack of education, lack of awareness, lack of access to rights. Then socially deprived sections. 89% of the trafficked victims. I did a study, I did a research for the NHRC in 2005. That shows 89% of the trafficked victims are from the socially deprived section of society. That means scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, backward, Muslims, etc. So this is that explains everything. That explains everything, that these are the people who are being trafficked. Therefore, every reason that we should all work together. Now, what is the duty of a person to work against trafficking? When Dr. Ambedkar, whom we all respect, and his team made the Constitution of India, in the Constitution, they have not added any crime, murder, rape, they are all not part of the crime. That is a law book. But Ambedkar, Dr. Ambedkar wanted to add one particular crime in the Constitution, that is human trafficking. Article 23 of the Constitution says trafficking, human trafficking in every form is prohibited. Please see the article there. Human trafficking in every form is prohibited. So when Dr. Ambedkar realized the importance of trafficking, therefore he put that in the Constitution of India, and therefore all of us sitting here, anybody outside, a rickshaw puller or the bus conductor, a professor, a teacher, anybody, all of us are under the Constitution of India. We, the people of India, made the Constitution. We gave to ourselves the Constitution. Therefore, all of us have a duty to ensure nobody is trafficked. I have a girl nearby, neighbor lady who is 23 years. She is going to be trafficked. Or another child at 12 years going to be trafficked. I have a duty as a citizen of the country to ensure they are not trafficked. And they have a right not to be trafficked. So all of us have a duty under the Constitution of India to prevent trafficking. Therefore, it's our mission under the Constitution. Having said that, the issues are so many. We have been fighting against trafficking for a long time. I myself have 40 years now, more than 40 years now in human trafficking. I rescued some children, 133 children from child labor in a district called Palamu in Bihar. Now it is in Jharkhand. Way back in 81, I was SP there. I was Superintendent Police in Palamu district of Bihar. I rescued 133 children. Kailash Satyavati came there and he started his mission, Bachpan Bachao Andolan from there. Now, his mission also went on, my mission also went on, all of us have been working. So we have been working a lot, and lot of good things have happened also. A lot of things have happened, lot of very good things have happened in the country and outside. Lot many people rescued, lot many crimes prevented, and people sitting here, such wonderful activists like you have contributed a lot. You know much better. A lot of work has been done. Not only in Andhra Pradesh, in Telangana also, lot much has been done. Now, having said that, yet we find whatever we did is only a tip of the iceberg. The problem is so much that we need to do more. So, having realized that the mission has to go on with full speed and full energy, one idea which came up was to involve the youth. Youth comes in, it makes a tremendous impact. You can see all the ministers in the government. Wherever there's a youth minister, things are actually different. Now we can see in this group also, people like me will keep on talking, but when Chrysolite speaks, the world listens. The youth power is very important. When Alice speaks, the world listens. That's a youth power. So that youth youth power, we used to capitalize. I'm not saying that all these are bad, they're also equally good. But I'm trying to say the youth energy is so vibrant that can disseminate faster than us, faster than anybody else. Now, therefore, started talking to children, youth, the college students in various places. And it so happened that in one college, Ernakulam Law College in Kerala, I went to take a law class on the law of trafficking. My discussion was only on law of trafficking. One police officer was there, Srijit, he spoke something on law. I spoke on something on law. And another lawyer, Premnath, also spoke on law. So when it came to my turn, I told all of them that it is your duty to prevent trafficking. So the children were excited, boys and girls of the Ernakulam Law College. They said, sir, please tell me what I can do, what I should do. I said, very simple. The idea immediately came just like that. I said, very simple. You have a dramatics club, yes. You have a dancing club, yes. You have a mono act club, yes. You have a yachting club, yes. You have a tennis club, yes. You start an anti-human trafficking club. The way you have another club is also another club. If you want a president secretary, up to you. Otherwise, 5 people, 10 people become a club. One person can be a coordinator. You don't have to have a president secretary, coordinator. And better to have boys and girls together, both. So they themselves formed a 10-member group there. I said, who is willing to take? One girl stood up and said, I want to be the coordinator. I said, all right. And another boy said, I want to be the coordinator. So 2 coordinators and the club started there. And now this is how anti-human trafficking club started. IGM came and IGM was fascinated. IGM was interested. IGM said, let's spread the mission in Tamil Nadu. Because of the IGM initiative, we have a fantastic group of anti-human trafficking clubs in Tamil Nadu. So several colleges they have started one by one. Now the mission goes on to various places. Today you have anti-human trafficking club, AHTC in Siliguri. You have something in interiors of Rajasthan. You have an anti-human trafficking club in IIT Delhi. You have anti-human trafficking clubs in Bihar. So many places. So we have almost fanned out to many states this anti-human trafficking club. What is to be done is you have 10 students coming in. If it is a boys' college, only boys. Girls' college, only girls. Co-education college, combine both, boys and girls together. Then you need one teacher or a professor as a mentor. I don't want to call him as a coordinator or a mentor, just guiding the students what to do and what not to do. So naturally the students will have classes, so they have to take permission from the teacher. So all these are required. And you also need to have one local NGO. Like you are working there, all of you are working in the local NGOs. You will be the main coordinator in that place, main coordinator. We also need one police officer. Police officer, don't go over the DGP or the IGP or anybody. Can be a constable also, can be inspector also. Anybody who is sensitive person, who is interested in the work. There are 25 police officers. 15 of them will be interested in the police working. Other will be only a liability on the police, which you are aware. From that 15, identify 5 of them who will be interested in the issues of trafficking. From that, you take 1 or 2. So you have to identify who is the sensitive person or who wants to be working on this. Get that person on board. So it's completely informal now. You have 10 students, 10 can be 9 or 15, no issues. Then you have one professor or a teacher at the college. Then you have yourself as the NGO and police officer. Police officer can come later also, no issues. So all of you get together and discuss what is trafficking in that area. You don't have to talk about international convention or 370 IPC. You basically tell them this is what is trafficking and then what is the scenario in that area. Some of the police officers will say no trafficking there. Then you have to ask a question. Have you seen a massage parlor where in the name of massage, a girl is being sexually violated? He will say, something is happening there. I said, boss, that girl is not willing to do that. She's made to do that. She is a sex slave there. She is not doing it on her own. She is made to do that. And the manager gets the money. Have you seen her? Then you ask them, have you seen a chai dukan in your place where boys are working? He said, yeah, there are so many boys. Are you aware this is trafficking? They said, what is that? It's only child labor. He said, no. Under the Indian law, Madam rightly said 370 IPC. Before 370 came, it was different. Now, after 370 IPC came in 2013, Physical exploitation also can be trafficking. Trafficking can be for physical exploitation, for sexual exploitation, for organ trade, for slavery. For slavery. What is slavery? Anybody made to work without freedom, or whose rights are being violated. Violation of rights, deprivation of freedom, and deprivation of dignity. That is slavery. When the law was made, they did not define slavery because they wanted to be open. So if Mr. Vidya Kiran thinks this is slavery, that is slavery. If you think a child is there, child has come from Bihar, the child has an entitlement for education, that right has been taken away, and child is made to suffer here, that is slavery. And now the child has been trafficked. You may have seen a child line doing a lot of good work, railway child line doing a lot of good work. When the child line rescues, if you go to the child line data, out of the 3 lakh, 4 lakh children rescued every year, at least 30% they quote as seen along with the agents. They said their children are being seen along with the agent. Who is an agent there? There's nothing called an agent in a child. That is a trafficker. So they want to give a dignified word, agent. And police says, oh, they are only agents, not traffickers. The police also does not want to look that side. That is wrong. So people like us sitting here, we should get into that. And wherever a child is rescued, child line rescue, so anywhere a child is there, if the child's rights have been deprived of, if the child's freedom has been taken away, and if there is an element of slavery, obviously there, that is trafficking. So therefore, we have so much of activity to do: child labor, child trafficking, sex trafficking, organ trade, any form of slavery, any form of practices similar to slavery. Law has become so large, it's not only slavery, practices similar to slavery. So it means your imagination can go wide and far. All these are trafficking now. So what you do is go to the colleges, meet the students, bring them over, and start setting up anti-human trafficking clubs, and then work along with them. When you start working along with them, initially you don't give them too much of a heavy task. Okay, let's go and rescue. Not possible. Essentially, give them basic ideas. Like when I did the Ernakulam Law College, they asked me, okay, give us 3 examples of what I can do. I said, okay. I went to a boy and asked in his ears, can your sister be raped? In his ears, can your sister be raped? What will be a reaction? Boy will go wild. I said, what? I said, can your sister? I asked him a very provoking question. Can I rape your sister? It was so provoking. He said, what? I said, can I rape your sister? He said, no. Naturally, he will be furious. He has to be. And then I went to the next year and I told him, would you like to have sex with your neighbor's daughter? Would you like to have sex with your neighbor's daughter? You know what he was saying? No. That should stop. If my daughter is not for sale, your daughter is also not for sale. If my daughter cannot be exploited, your daughter also cannot be exploited. When he says, can you have sex with your sister? He said, no. Can you have sex with somebody else's daughter? He said, no. That is a problem. There lies our mindset. So we have to get out of this. So this is very simple. So asking children how to respect somebody's daughter, how to respect others' daughter, how to respect others' sister, give the rights to them. I am not saying you don't have sex. You marry, you have a girlfriend, that's a different issue. But I am talking about sexual violation, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation. That cannot happen. Then second point I told the students was, how many of you watch pornography? They will naturally say no. I said, okay, you will say no. But how many of you have not seen pornography? They said, yes, we all seen. All right, means they have watched some point of time. All right. How many of you have seen child pornography? How many of you have watched child pornography? Watch is a difficult word. They will say, okay, how many of you have seen somebody watching child pornography? Yes, I have seen. I have seen. So most of the children have seen child pornography. Then I asked the question, how do you get a child pornography? How do you make child pornography? You have to get a child. The child has to be stripped naked. Child has to do this act and that act and this act and that act. Then only pornography comes in. That means the child has been trafficked and exploited there. And I am making money by showing the film. So I make money by selling the child pornography. You are watching. Because you are watching, I make film, I sell the film. So I am the trafficker here and you are the user there. So if all of us can decide that we will not watch child pornography, all of us can take a decision that my father will not watch child pornography, my brother will not watch child pornography, my uncle will not watch child pornography, my teacher will not watch child pornography. If all of us decide that way, child pornographers have to stop, have to close the business. Means child trafficking will stop. I said with the students, instead of going into rescue, can be later, but these are the ways. Respecting the rights of people. There are many ways. Your brain can work whatever you want and educate them on the rights of people so that they don't become customers. Most of the children who are sexually exploited, women and children who are exploited, there is a customer behind. Customer. Customer is not the right word. He's actually an abuser. He's a violator. He's an exploiter. He's a criminal. Don't use the word customer. Customer I always use in court because customer word is not a legal word. It's an exploitation. Therefore, this fellow who is people who are watching child pornography is a customer there. Because we are watching, child pornography is coming up. So if we can take a decision that we will not watch child pornography, like that you motivate the students to get ideas as to what they can do. Another example, one student asked me, sir, give me some idea what to do. I said, what do you want to do? So, say something. I said, all right, do one thing. Go to a labor camp. You have a labor camp. It's a Kerala, Tamil Nadu scenario. So you have a labor camp nearby. Yeah, there are a lot of laborers there. Go to labor camp. Go to labor camp and see what you can do. He said, what should I do? I said, 5 of you, 10 of you go and see what you can do. These boys went there, boys and girls. I think about 7 or 8 of them went there, labor camp and came back. After 3 days, they gave me a call. Sir, we saw a lot of issues there. So what is the issue? Girls are also there. They said there are women there. Migrant labor from Odisha are there. Women are also there. And there's no toilet there. So men get up at 5:30 in the morning and go to the toilets here and there and ease themselves. And because men get up at 5:30, women have to get up at 4:30 and they go to the toilet. So women go somewhere and to the toilet, come back, then men go. And this is the way they are surviving themselves. And women will not take water the whole day because they cannot go to urinal there. Because they don't take water, they are having problems of a UTI and things like that. All the issues will come. So this is a problem they have noticed. I said, what can we do? He said, what can we do, sir? Can we go and tell the police? I said, what the police do? Police will say, I can't do anything. I said, that all of us will say we can't do anything. It's like that catch, the problem is there, but everybody says somebody will do and nobody does anything. I said, now you have to do. Now 7 of you are smart girls and boys, go and think what you can do. They have I said, okay, why not? I'll give an idea. Why don't you go to the contractor and talk to him. Don't force him. Don't shout at him. Be very nice. Talk to him. And these 7 children went there, went to the contractor and told him, Bade bhai, my cheta, my brother, Anna, Vanakam, Namaste. Anna, you have a sister? He said, yes. Anna, will your sister go to the toilet at 4:30 in the morning and sit on the main road and do toilet? He said, why? Will she go? No, she will not go. Okay. So if your sister cannot go, why can't she go? Somebody will see it is violating her dignity. Somebody can come and rape her. Somebody can misbehave with her. Okay. So if your sister goes to the toilet in the open early morning, somebody can come and violate her. It is violation of her dignity. And you are worried about her trafficking or exploitation. Yes. So same thing should apply to the girl who is working with you. You have 10 laborers there and their wives are there. These ladies are also going out in the morning and doing the toilet. Is it not your sister? If it is your sister, will you not do something? Isn't contract immediately? Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I thought their families have come, but what they do, I didn't know. Now that you have told me, I'll do something. Don't worry. Then this student said, Anna, can you do that? Consider the toilet in a week's time? Then just leave it. I'll take care. You come after a week. Third day, the students get a phone call saying, please come. They went there and said, here is a men's toilet, here is women's toilet, and here is a crush for the children. Small improvised crush. I said, he a very sensitive person, but that sensitivity had to be kindled, had to be generated. That's what the students did. Sometimes he will not be sensitive, then you can't shout at him, you have to request him. So that power of the youth can be channelized to do such activities. And if we can do that, I have a feeling we can create a society where we can prevent a lot of trafficking. Once they graduate sometime, then you can take them for rescue operations. They can take to a railway platform. A lot of missing children will be there. A lot of street children will be there. Take them to a child line. Take them to a child welfare committee. You will be going, associate students also, they will also learn this process. I'm not asking for any legal action by them, because going to police and witnessing, etc., will be torturous for them. They have to study. But these are the small activities you can involve. And if you start doing that, AHT clubs can make a tremendous impact, especially in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Trafficking is very high, and therefore these AHT clubs can make a huge impact. Professor or a teacher is very important. A sensitive teacher or professor is required. All people may not be, male or female are equally same. So you need to find out anybody who is sensitive person. You have a national service scheme, NSS, in the schools and colleges. Most likely the NSS teacher would be an appropriately identified person who knows all this social work. He or she can be the main person if you want. Otherwise, you find out a teacher. Now, in this age of Corona, Chrysolite wanted to set up 50 AHT clubs in the colleges. 50 or 100? 50. Okay.
50, sir.
50 colleges she wanted to set up, and she started working also. Now, because of the COVID time, this will continue for at least 1 or 2 months more. We have to start working now, but people are afraid. So at least 2 months more, this distancing will continue. Therefore, what I suggest is now you can work on teleconferencing like this, or email like this, or cell phone. If I can connect you on cell phone, you can connect the whole my call and connect to somebody else. So today I had around 7 people calling, speaking on my own cell phone. I connected to one person, held him online, connected to one more person. He connected to the second person. 7 people are speaking on telephone without seeing each other. We can do that. So like that, if we can link up the students now through telephones or emails or Zoom meetings or video meetings, whatever you think appropriate, I suggest that these clubs can be formed in wherever colleges possible. All colleges, students are working on email now. All colleges have started teaching on internet now. So all of them are linked now. They have enough and more time. They have enough and more time now because they are sitting at home. How long can the college teacher teach? 1 hour, 2 hours? Earlier there used to be Hartals and Inglam, Zindabad. The teachers never had to bother with teaching. Now they have to teach because students are at home. And there is no Inglam, Zindabad there. They better teach. So teachers also get fed up. Arey, how long can I teach? 6 hours, 5 hours? They also get fed up. So if you say, can you give half an hour for telling them on the rights of children and rights of women and even child trafficking, they'll be super excited. So you can use that opportunity. Most of the colleges have the facility. Please approach the college teacher or principal or whoever is dealing with this issue and tell the teacher, give us a 1 hour time. We will teach you, we'll tell your students what is human trafficking and how the children can work on this. And you see the response, you'll have magnificent response. So please take it forward. A short presentation is required. I have made a short presentation. If you want, I can send it to you what is trafficking and what AHT clubs can do. I think IGM must be having that. Otherwise, I'll email to you, email to Ms. Chrysolite, and you can share with everybody. It will be a very, very simple presentation as to what is trafficking and what AHT clubs can do. But you can add more. Please add more slides from the Telangana perspective, from the Andhra perspective. Accordingly, you can add more and then make it more interesting also. Give small case studies. Pause for a while. Let me tell you, here is one child rescued by me, and this is what the boy was saying. Give a small bite, and when you have a photograph or a picture, you must remember a victim has a right to privacy. Under the law, any child or a woman who is a victim has a right to privacy. So you cannot show a picture of a child. So here is a child, girl trafficked. Her name is Kamala. You should not do that. You can turn on the other side, and on the back side, you can say, here is a girl rescued. Her name is changed. And for a time being, I'm giving her name as Sundari. You can do that. And now, this is a way you can improve on the presentation and make it more realistic, and I'm sure you can take it forward. That's all for the time being from my side. And if any questions, please switch on your mic and you can ask questions. We have some 20 minutes more. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, sir. So any of the local NGO partners, if you have any questions regarding AHTC setup, please ask us. You can either type it in the chat box or you can open up your mic and
Maybe they can ask in Telugu and you can translate also.
yeah. Even if Telugu, I can translate it. No problem.
Yeah. Good afternoon. This is Ignatius from PARA, the organization called People's Action for Rural Awakening from Raulapalam, East Godavari. Sir, thank you so much for simplifying the whole perspective and how we can work together with the students. So recently I had an adventurous thing like with one of the sex workers. As I was traveling on highway in the night, I just dropped somewhere. I asked, "Why are you doing? Is your daughter also into this sex work?" Then the lady has immediately asked me the question in reverse. If you have a daughter, if your daughter is well educated, and if she is working in IT sector, where she is selling her knowledge, mental health, physical health, and at the end of the weekend, they have a relaxation, which they go for having a sex with a maybe companions or colleagues or officers, anybody. How do you call it? And when do we do the same with our kids or with ourselves? Why do you call it as a human trafficking or sex work? What is this difference? Why do you put different terms for this thing? Then I went blank. To be frank, I didn't get any answer at that moment. Please, can you enlighten me on this a little bit?
Question also.
I missed the last part. Can you ask the question again? Missed the last part.
Yeah, when somebody is working in IT sector who is selling the knowledge or undergoing all the mental strains, physical stress, and going for a weekend out with the colleagues or the officers and having the sex and everything is normal today. When we are doing for our livelihood, you're calling it as either sex work or human trafficking. What is the difference between two? How can you term these things in different ways? That was the hard question. Then I was really unable to give any answer at that moment. I was actually blank on the highway in the middle of the night almost.
Good question. Now, very good question. Thank you for that. We have to distinguish between prostitution and trafficking. I am an adult woman. Let's say my age is 32. And I may have my husband or may not have. I want to make some money out of fun, my interest to have sex with some people. I talked to somebody and said, "Why don't you come over for the night?" And the fellow comes and has sex with me, and he gives me $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 whatever money he gets. I find it's a very interesting business, and I get people and make money for myself. That is called prostitution. Under the Indian law, prostitution per se is no offense. Now, I'll give you another example. I'm a 32-year-old woman, 32, and I have my husband, etc. Somebody said, "You are required for a job in Mumbai." What is the job? It's a housekeeper. What am I supposed to do? You come and look after the people there. There is a dhobi there, there's a barber there is a mali there, there's a gardener there, and you are supervising the house, and this is your salary. You have a room in the house to stay, and you will be given 10,000 rupees per month salary, 3 times food, and what else? This is all. I went to Bombay, leave my village. From the village, I went to Bombay, leaving my children with my grandmother or my mother or somebody. And I went there. they took away my jewels and passport and cell phone and everything quietly, saying that somebody will steal it away. And the same night, people started having sex with me. Every day, somebody will come and have sex with me, and I could not run out of the house because the house is locked from outside. They will not allow me to go. I went there on my own. I'm a 32-year-old woman. This is trafficking. I have been trafficked now. So trafficking can be an adult, trafficking can be a child. But any person under 18, male or female, with consent also is trafficking.
That's
With
the child. Yeah, child.
The adult portion is very clear now. A person does on own. But now, what you see on the streets, normally we see people standing there on the street, 90% of them, if not more, of these women have not come on their own. They have been made to stand there. They are made to stand there. There's somebody standing behind who makes the money. They wait for the customer to come. Okay, 1 person, 2 person, 3 person, count the customers, and when they go away, they come to this lady and take the money out of her. The woman is made to prostitute, so she is not prostituting herself. That's why I always say it is not a prostitute, it's a prostituted woman. It's not a child prostitute, it's a prostituted child. So we have no business to call her a prostitute because it's a prostituted woman. And the way we say sex work, somehow I don't understand it's called sex work. We have electrical work, you have sweeping work, sweeping also with dignity. But who wants to sell the body and make money? Nobody wants to sell oneself. So that person is made to sell. Therefore, it's a prostituted woman, not a prostitute. So from that perspective, if you see, the people who are maybe drive down, you find women standing there, but to go and talk to a woman at ease and comfort. You're a father, so your talking will make a difference. One day she will not say. She will say, "Main apne man se aaya." Second day again, "Apna man kahan se aaya? Where did you get your mind from?" Then she started opening up. And I did the study for NHRC. I interviewed 629 women, 629 women, all so-called prostitutes, 629. They will initially say, "Apne man se aaya." I came on my own. Didi, second day I go with the pan to her. She eats the pan. Didi, how did you get your man? Man kahan se aaya? Then she will start opening up saying, no, I was lured or deceived or coerced. So luring, deception or coercion, if it is there, that is trafficking. In the case of adult men and women, if there is lure or deception or coercion, that is trafficking. In 90% of the cases, this is there. And the consent given is not informed consent. If I was informed that when I go to Bombay, I'll be a sex slave, I would not have gone. I was informed I'll be a job of dignity. But when I landed there, it was a different issue. So my consent was not informed consent. So we have to be very careful. The woman, before I call a woman a prostitute, is she consenting? Does she have an informed consent? Somebody making money out of her? All these questions will answer whether it is trafficking or not. I hope it's clear.
Yeah, I got a maximum. And the new word, prostituted woman, that's the new word I learned at least. I mean, the concept, the idea behind when you use that word. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks.
Anybody else? Telugu also chalega. Telugu chalega, Hindi chalega. Sometimes the doubts will come, in Telugu, no issues, nothing of that, right? See, when I am from Kerala, when I went to Bihar, first I have to think I see something, I have to think in Malayalam, translate to Hindi, communicate in Hindi. Then hear that, then I have to translate to Malayalam and understand. It took so much time. Hindi, happens. No issues.
Sir, thank you, sir, Nayan sir, for your valuable words. This is Moses from Guntur, sir.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, we have one incident which recently we faced, and all from our village, and she was taken to Hyderabad for housekeeping work. She was 14 years old, and they promised her the salary of 10,000 and in a very good house, in a very rich house. And the parents came to us and they asked us if we can send her, if they can send her. So I said, okay. No, I suggested her you can keep her in our hope home and we can give her good education. But they already decided that they wanted to send her. So, and they were requesting me to inquire all those things. And I talked to the owner that who is taking her. He promised me that he will send her to school also. He has two children, so she need to take care about them. So they went. But after going there, we don't have any contact with the girl. And even when I was, whenever I see that her parents, I was asking about her, and they said she is okay. And is she calling? That's what. Is she calling? I asked them. She said no. They said our parents are saying no. So suddenly I got a doubt, and I pull up the phone of the parents, and I made a call to the person who took her, and she's actually in the home of that man, but he is using her for the sexual work, and she can't run away by that. So then suddenly we informed our friends from Hyderabad who are staying in very close to that area, and they went to that house and found out that they are abusing her very badly in the sexually. So finally we could able to rescue her from with the help of the local police. So my question is, sir, after hearing all what the valuable things that you said, my question is, especially the women trafficking or the child trafficking in the villages and the towns, people are having very freedom and liberty to choose what they want. But in villages, they don't have this kind of liberty. So what the best that we can do to control the villages? Right now, this is spreading to the villages also, because we work in the villages. So what is the best thing that we can suggest us to stop this women trafficking from the villages, child trafficking and women trafficking?
I got the question. It's very, very important. How do you prevent at the source area? The villages, wherever people are not aware of the issues, they are more vulnerable. So I would utilize the anti-human trafficking club and AHC club. If you have a college nearby, train the students, enroll them into the anti-human trafficking club, take around 10 or 15 of them, go to a village, sit there, villagers will all come. Initially 5 people will come, then 10 will come, then 15 will come, 100 people will come. Talk to them in the local language, local dialect. Keep on talking to them. Initially, if you ask if there is trafficking, they will say no. They will say no. And like the way you ask, how many girls have gone for a job? How many of them have don't ask provoking questions very easily. Very, very slowly you would ask them. How many girls are there in the job? Are they getting their salary? Are they having any difficulty? Then again repeat the same question different way. How many of them have been sexually exploited? Then somebody will say, no, nothing much, only somebody just touches her something. Okay, how many of them have been touched unwanted places? Like that, you keep asking questions, you suddenly realize that so much trafficking is taking place. Then you tell them, this is trafficking. Now, what can you do? Once people are aware as to what is trafficking, the first job is done. Then comes second job, how to prevent. The first of all is awareness. And once the awareness comes in, you can then build up. Then they themselves will give solutions. Okay. How did that girl go for a job? There is a contractor there. So now we have to keep a watch on the contractor. We have to keep a watch on the contractor. How many girls he is taking away? Has she taken from the adjoining village? Let's go to the next village also. Bring the villages together and make them talk. Then you find the same contractor has taken girls from this village and that village. So when the villages come together, the contractors run away from there. And then comes the police. When the villagers get together, the police have to take action. Otherwise, police will say, no, it's not my job. So the AHC clubs can go to the police and notify them. If you require the NGO partner, you can give an application, writing the police saying this is happening there. So my point is, utilizing the anti-human trafficking clubs, you can generate awareness, and through the awareness, empowering them, and by empowering them, they will themselves find ways and means of preventing trafficking. In the context of Corona and COVID, anybody has to suggest something here, whether trafficking has increased or trafficking has come down or girls trafficking has improved or boys trafficking has increased? Any idea?
It comes, sir, actually, and the people from sexual work, women trafficking came back. Actually, they came back to the villages. The sexual workers came back to the villages, and right now they don't have a so because they can't transport the people. So it reduced very much.
So what will happen after the COVID, when the lockdown is lifted? What is bound to happen?
That is the doubt, sir. More probably, what I'm thinking is people are lack of work and lack of money, and they're having huge problem for their for the daily needs. So traffickers may attract more.
Yeah.
With some good ideas or some full. So this may be this because everybody fall into short of all those their daily things and all. So we got to be very careful. I don't know in what new ways they may come out for the trafficking. They may come up with the new ideas because they must have increased their thoughts in the lockdown. Their technology must have increased in the lockdown. So they may come up with the new ideas and new thoughts and new technology. But we got to be very careful and watchful.
Correct, you're right. But that means that trafficking is bound to increase after the lockdown is lifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to increase a lot. It is going to increase a lot.
Not only sex trafficking, but labor trafficking also.
Both labor and sex, both will be increasing a lot. Though the migrants are trying to reach back to their own states,
yeah.
I think that will be there only for a short while. Again, they have to come back in order to survive and take care of the families. Now they may also bring others, the women, just grown up girl, children, and everybody. That is a danger we have foreseen. 100%.
True. Okay. Any other question?
Sir, I have a question. So, given that scenario where it's going to increase, how do you think we should create awareness or convince people from running away from the threat that they have?
See, when the issue is looming large, that the trafficking is going to increase, I think this is a time when if you start working with the students and AHC clubs, etc., motivate maximum number of students to spread the awareness in the village. Awareness is, I told you, once people are aware, then they will find ways and means of escaping. Today, if you ask anybody what is Corona, they will say something. They call it Corona, they call it something different name. But even Corona, all same for them. They know something is happening there. How do people come to know about this? So they are very scared of Corona now. It's not because of Modi said, because in the village, they don't know who is Modi. They know Corona now. So that sort of situation, if we can generate in the vulnerable areas, you don't have to go to all the places. The students themselves will know. They are coming from the rural areas. They will know, yes, like the gentleman, Mr. Moses now mentioned, exactly that's exactly what's happening. People have come back. The women have come back or children have come back because you can't have a customer now. You will catch cold, you will catch Corona. Both will have Corona, so they don't want to have. Therefore, they have come back. Now, they will be going back in any way. So the traffickers will take them back anyway. So instead of taking them back from Bihar to Mumbai, they might take them from Bihar to Kolkata, nearby place. That's all they will do. So this is a scenario where we can make people aware, students aware, and through the students we can generate the public awareness in these vulnerable areas. I think we can make a tremendous impact. So Randy Jacob has something to say.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Like really inspiring to all of us. Considering the economic slowdown, I feel that many of these vulnerable families will have no income or low income, and children, women, and including the men for labor for both men and women, they will be all pushed towards this market. There is no doubt. Unless otherwise our country has some social protection for the vulnerable families, things may not improve in this country. That's my comment.
But let's not give up. This is a time when we can work together. We can generate maximum public awareness, and then do our bit. I'm sure we can do that.
I mean, we should influence the policies also. That's what I mean.
Sure. That is true. In fact, I don't know, 3 days back, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights had organized a national level discussion, and IJ also came, Melita was there. Now, after all the conference yesterday, the chairman of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, he spoke to me for 1 hour. He will not leave the phone. Sir, tell me what I should do, He gave all the examples and asking. So I told him, you are talking to me. You talk to a minister first. I told him, you talk to a minister first. You go and tell him this is happening there. So we have to raise levels and we can work it out. It's a good point. Yes, Mark, right? Your question is answered?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Suresh Daniel from Oasis India, Pungunur, has another question. He says, what are possible things like-minded NGOs can do through advocacy, especially during COVID time?
This is an example of what like-minded NGOs can do. On a common cause, we can get together. On a common cause, we can get together. And when you discuss, you will get a lot of ideas also. So ideas will generate. It's not idea is my privacy or your private property. It comes out of discussion. Each one of us have ideas. When the ideas are thrown up, then you will get a lot of interesting points. So one is having a sort of networking like this. Could be even WhatsApp also. May not be always video conferencing, but once in a month or once in 2 months, one video conference will be good, because to see his face and the ideas also is it makes tremendous impact. That I'm grateful to Kersilite for organizing this video conference. It makes a tremendous impact. Now, so that is one, networking. Number two, take a theme and see how you can create awareness. This particular village Mr. Mosa was talking about, in fact, we should take that particular village, involve the Panchayat Mukhya there, involve the police officer there, involve the block development officer there, and tell them, sir, we are having a discussion on the trafficking in that particular village. Would you like to come? They may be busy, but you can tell them, sir, okay, tell us what time you will be free, and that time we'll give them discussion. Why not? You have a larger group of people coming in and discussing the issue, then they will also realize that there is an issue there. The BDO, who are the block development officer, who have never in his life had seen a village, will see a village through this video conferencing now. The villager will be speaking to you. You are facilitating a villager to speak, and the villager is directly telling him, boss, this is the problem of my village. And the BDO would have never, ever in his life seen that villager also. This is a very interesting facility we have today because of this electronic medium. And they have a lot of time. The BDO sitting in the office has nothing to do. And he may be talking to collector once a while, sub-collector once a while. That's all. His job gets over. And he can't sign any paper, no people coming to office. So this is a way you can link up the issue with the officials concerned, with the police concerned, with the government officials concerned, and try and solve it also. That's the third dimension. Okay. Miss Alice is quiet.
Yeah, I heard. Just happy to hear from everybody, and waiting to see how this is going to unfold in Andhra Pradesh, because we were very happy to work with Red Rope also in Andhra, and really excited. And today we really wanted to hear from Dr. Nair his vision for anti-human trafficking clubs, because it's something that Sir has conceived. So we really want to know what he wants to see in Andhra Pradesh unfold in the coming months. So I'm just listening to all the conversations, and I'm very happy to see this happen finally.
Thank you. If all of us work together and create an anti-human trafficking club in all the colleges, imagine the life of so many people are being saved, so many children will be saved, so many women will be saved, and be assured, so all of us, all colleges, youth, actually tremendous power they have. They will all go back to villages and tell them, and tell your mother, father, everybody, and the mission of anti-human trafficking, which normally we discuss only in in AC rooms and or some place here and some place there. It becomes a mass mission, massive mission, and a mass movement. So people who are in this audience itself can make it a fantastic movement in Andhra Pradesh. Imagine 1 year after, if this mission goes to all the colleges, what a great thing we are doing to the society there. All colleges anti-human trafficking club, and if the corona will go away, so after 1 year we can have a state level convention of the AHT clubs. We are planning that. We already planned for that. We call leadership training for the AHT clubs. Imagine 50 clubs, 50 into two students from each college, 100 students coming there, 50 NGOs coming there, around 300 people there. 1 day leadership training program, showcasing what they have done. It will make a tremendous impact in the entire Andhra Pradesh. So let's work towards that.
Yes.
Maximum number of colleges should be your target. Not restricted to 50 or 20. Wherever you can do, please do it.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I think regarding this, I think we need also support from Red Rope and IJM with the material, whatever the requirement we need to take it forward.
Yeah, sure.
I send you a presentation made for the Tamil Nadu. You can edit it a little bit and then use it there.
Yeah.
Please, I want to tell you one more thing. Today, because people are glued to the TV and cell phones and computer, lot of internet-based sex trafficking is happening. Internet-based. So, your own daughter may be watching pornography. You don't know. Sitting same room, same house. Next room, my daughter is studying there. But the girl may be getting a lot of pornography into a computer. You will not know. You will not know unless you are watchful and careful and communicating with the child. So this is a very, very, very difficult scenario today because of the use of internet. Abuse also has gone very high. The moment use has increased, abuse also has increased correspondingly. Therefore, online sexual exploitation and online trafficking, online abuse is an important area where we need to be careful about. So when you train the youth, you tell them this particular point also. Ask them how many of you have a Facebook photographs put. How many of you have received a prostitution pornography in your cell phone? Then they will all come up. Then we should tell them how to avoid, how to generate awareness, and how this is going to be a major issue. Online issue, the traffickers, they send a small photograph of a girl, lure you. If you are a girl, send a photograph of a naked boy and lure the boy. First time they will delete, second time they will delete. Third time, 20 times the photograph comes, he or she will start looking into that. What is all this? So then the interest comes in. That's how traffickers do. They keep on sending the photographs of the person and then get the interest generated, and then they trap the child, trap the person. Therefore, this is a very important point we can tell the students when you are addressing them.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. That's been really insightful. And you've been extremely humble in sharing and listening to all of us. Thank you so much. So I will be connecting with all the partnering NGOs maybe starting tomorrow. So we can individually plan on what we can do and how we can reach out to colleges and students even during this lockdown phase. Maybe start with one at a time and then see how it goes. So I want to thank all of you for attending this session, taking time out, and especially Dr. Nair, sir, for sparing your time and enlightening all of us. And I also want to thank IJM for making this happen and channelizing it through this. Thank you so much. I'm stuck.
Mission that makes all the difference. And if everybody has safe stay, and please look after yourself and family. Very important. You want to have
Christina?
Yes.
so let us come. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I think I had network issue. Yeah.
Yeah, we were taking bye, but good you came. And
Yeah.
I think Tina wants to say something.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
Excellent point. I'm looking forward to doing something here. Very practical solutions. I'm already working with college students, and I work on sexual abuse and pornography issues, and also would like to loop in some anti-human trafficking.
Yeah. Which college are you working with?
We go to all the schools and colleges, and we are before we were working reaching out to North India. Any opportunity given in North India in school, church, and colleges.
But you are based in Lucknow, isn't it?
Yes, based in Lucknow.
Yeah, it's good. Start with the Lucknow itself. Lot of colleges in Lucknow.
Yeah.
You want any contact in NGOs? I can introduce you to so many NGOs there in Lucknow itself.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, Chrysolite, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, stay safe, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.